You can use rejection to fuel you. You can turn that pain into purpose. Just take Maximus from the movie Gladiator, commander of the Roman army, highly respected by his peers, favored by the emperor, and yet he was rejected by the emperor's son out of jealousy, abandoned by all of his subordinates and those closest to him. He lost everything. He was sold into slavery and he had to fight in the gladiator pitch just to survive. But despite all that, he worked his way up to being the most well-known gladiator in the Roman Empire. In the end, he got his vengeance and fulfilled the promise that he made to Marcus Aurelius, the deceased emperor, of giving Rome back to the people. But doesn't the story of rejection turning into purpose sound familiar to you? Maybe it's Joseph in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, or maybe it's King David in the book of Samuel, or maybe it's this. Jesus had plenty of people in his hometown in Nazareth reject him as the Son of God, and yet that didn't stop him. The Pharisees calling him a blasphemer didn't stop him either. Not the Jewish people going from loving him to eventually handing him over to the Roman authorities to have him be crucified. And worst of all, the disciples that were closest to him all abandoned him at his greatest hour of need. And yet that didn't stop him from fulfilling his purpose of dying on a cross and rising from the dead 3 days later to save us from our sins. At some point, you will be rejected in your life, and maybe by those closest to you. The beautiful thing is you can use it to fuel the calling that God has for your life.